coming along nicely. East Coast, sir. I'll be with that little, oh, there's a little piece of damn aluminum right there, you know what I mean? So this fella's screwed. Yeah, I'll leave that out. Had a boxcar load of them. Like maybe 20 boxes of them things, cases. Wow, where they at? I got them all thrown away, except that's a one box I had to throw in the truck to get them done. I just put a box a week in the trash. Bad connection. Huh? It's a bad connection. Oh, it is loose. Come right up. And this is the way that I seen the engine. You know, this with that off and this off. And see, that flywheel is almost pristine condition. But in the box that it was in, the damage, besides breaking that, and I think it bent the crankshaft too. But see that flat place right there? That flat place, and that was a pretty hard lick, looks like, against that cardboard. Other than that, it would have been nice, but you know, from a choice price, you know, a decent price for a real good flywheel, and for it that compared to that flat, that really hurt the price on that, didn't it? Hardly worth nothing now. I want to send it back. I'm going to keep it. It's the way it was listed, parts only. I don't know what the condition he thought they was in. But it was evidence that it was damaged in the carton. You know, I don't think the person damaged it. I think it was poor packaging. That's why I should have went back on the seller. Well, then right there looks good. Bad cool. Well, did you test it? No, I should take that off and do that. I mean, I'm gonna use it for parts, but actually, you think the crankshaft is bent for sure? You know what I should do? No, I'm gonna check it. But maybe. I might be able to justify this engine at the price I paid for it and be done with the paperwork. And that's the part I don't like, is the paperwork. You know, you gotta send an email and get an email. But I don't want this to confuse this engine with the eBay engine. And, you know, talking about that eBay engine, this is real simple to find the year models on these engines. I mean, it's really, really easy. Pretty decent records, but what was that number? Okay, it's 977. So you come over here on the chart and it's 9702979. All engines made between those two numbers was made in 1942. Now you can narrow it down to the month if you want to, but you know, this was getting close to the war. See, they didn't have no production in May of 42 through May of 45, according to this chart here on, that's Tony's old engines right there. No, that's oldengine.org. That's pretty good. 1942. From April backwards, wasn't it? And then from July. Boy, it was a tough time then. Whew. It's really tough in this world. 1942. Does that? That's not an airplane, but sometimes airplanes goes over here, and if this was 1942 and that airplane went over, you'd be running for cover, for sure, because it sounds like an old military transport or something. Just whoop, whoop, whoop.
Afraid that's gonna drop the big bomb?
Yeah.
Running wasn't gonna do nothing.
Well, you know, you had to put things over your porch lights, not even turn them on at all, you know. And your car headlights had a little bitty slit in it. Let's just set that on the bench right there. That she said you got that hat on again, ain't you? So, for whatever that means. But this engine was sold as a parts engine. So, whatever it is what it is. It is a parts engine. So I'm going to make the best of it. I think we'll saw it off right there. That's all I'm going to say about that. The question for the evening is these oil. There was not oil seals. They're oil retainers. I'll show you something. I'll tell you something. Let's set this aside. Let's just put it right back where it's at. I started to say one of the very first items to buy when you're getting ready to work on a Maytag. I started to say that one of the first items to buy was a manual, how to fix it. You're gonna need a manual. They're free. On this internet here, you just look up Maytag 2-cylinder, and after first perusing your free manual that you downloaded from the internet, you're going to need this schematic right here. That's a very good line drawing right there. Several different places on the internet this is posted right here. I think you can get to it from Harry's old engine even. But when you look at this schematic blueprint, you'll observe, take note, write it up there in that blank place. It's not a seal. Why that is important is that, let's see, I could pry one of them out of there. I think the question was, there it is. Okay, I think the question was, I'm gonna get that little thing. Look at it. I'll show you something. This is part of those engines talking to. And then once you dig that thing out of there, right there's what you're looking like. It's just a thin metal thing. It's a cup-like thing right there. You look at it at the back, it don't have no rubber or nothing up in yonder. It's just hollow. And it's somewhat smaller, should be, than the crankshaft. It's not a tight fit on there. You can see this one is worn right down here, thinner than it is up here. That's how much that bushing was worn in that engine right there to let that crankshaft move that much right there to come over and rub on the seal. It's not a seal, retainer. Let that crankshaft rub on that retainer, and you can see the arc right there where it's worn of that radius of that crankshaft. It's real slick and shiny around through there. And then when you get ready to put it back in there, you just put up or knock it in, you know. But that bushing is worn really bad right there. But now you're gonna say, why don't I put one of them oil seals in there? You know, it's got that rubber thing around there and that spring and everything. Put it right in there, and that'll help hold pressure in this crankcase right here. Well, now I done went and done that one time, a long time ago, years ago, you know, probably the first time I did that. And I kept that engine a long time. And some argument come up about it. You know, I kind of noted myself what the results would be. And it come to find out that it's kind of true. The outside here don't oil. I'm not going to get into that here. But where that, actually about where that hole is, it only oils right here if it does not have a way to pressure release, pushing crankcase pressure pushing out this way. That's all I'm going to say about that. But you just put that thing right up there and hit it with a flat object. And you don't drive it down in there and see it down in there. They end up level right here. When you get it level, that's where it should be. And there's another one over here. One on each side right there. Different sizes. Note that, I think, if I remember right. Oh, I'm sure it is. So, but it's the same thing. It's just level across there, and that leaves a gap right in there before it bottoms out at the bushing. But anything more than this right here is too much. The oil seal on the crankshaft, even if it does get oil out there, it'll wear a groove in that crankshaft right there. But it's just not good. Somebody said, where do you get these little things at right here? and you know, sometimes, I mean, it would be better to leave it out. It'd be better to leave this little thing out than to put an oil seal in there, unless that you dug the rubber part out of an oil seal. And you know, I'm not even going to give you no numbers on it, but they do make an oil seal for that size shaft and this size out here. If you was sealing it up, but that's not the intent here. Check your manual and see if I'm correct on the subject.